Hi, welcome to this week's video. Are you feeling that you're getting pulled into fear mode? If you've been a human on the planet, we've definitely been tempted by being overcome with fear with what's going on with the world around us. And this week, the ladies and I, Peyton, Corey, and myself, Yaila, are going to be talking about how do you stay out of fear. So kicking things off, how about you, Peyton? What would you like to start with?
Oh my God, this is such a perfect topic for us to be talking about right now, because I think as light workers and the awakened community that this is our biggest struggle right now. That's what my guides keep talking to my clients about and helping me with, is saying this is our number one objective, is to get out of fear. And then the next question is, well, how do you do that? So I have been finding with my clients who are really getting pulled in a lot to just the fear that is being churned out everywhere. It's really kind of hard to, if you're out in the 3D world in any way on any sort of information platform, you're going to come across something that kicks you into that fear mode. And so what I'm finding with my clients is that it's been helpful to kind of separate out what is the basis of the fear. So the first question that I am starting to work with right now is the fear that you're dealing with something that is actually in your face, in your real life, as a problem you need to deal with? Because I'm finding that about 80% of the things that we are all getting into fear mode about are not things that are actually in our present experience. We're hearing things, we're seeing things on, the news, on social media that put us into fear mode, but for a lot of it, it's not actually something that is happening to us in our personal life right now, not something that's really in our face. And so when we are working with that category of fear, which for me, from what I'm seeing, is the majority of the fear that a lot of us are facing, is what I call fear about the world, fear about what we're seeing around us, what's happening to other people. And so my guides have been coming in with an interesting take on this. And so what the Pleiadians have been telling me is that you guys don't realize how much of the information you're being fed is completely false. They said you guys are being brought into a frenzy over things that are complete fabrications, but we can't see that from our perspective. We only know that everyone's saying this is happening and this is going on in the world. And so I thought that was kind of an interesting perspective from the guides. And so I asked them, well, what do we do about that? How do we know, is this something that's real? Because that's always our first question, right? Well, is this real? Most of us don't even ask that question. How do we tell then if something is worth really being in fear about? We need to know about it. Or if it's one of these false flags, something that is just not true. And what the guide said is, it doesn't matter. They said, if you get into trying to figure out for everything you hear, is this true? Is this false? Who do I believe? Everyone's saying something different. They said, that is a rabbit hole for your mind. They said, that is going to lead you nowhere. So I said, well, what do we do then? Because we can't just ignore everything, can we? They said, the only question you need to ask yourself is, does this put me in fear or does this empower me? They said, reality is subjective. And so if you look at something, whether it's true or false, and you get worked up about it and you get yourself in a fear spiral, you are bringing that into your reality. You're using your free will to make that story your reality, just because somebody else said it. And it doesn't matter who is saying it, if they are someone or an institution, that is supposedly credible or not. They said the only question to focus on is, do you want this to be part of your reality? And I'm like, wow, that's a totally different from the way most of us go about this. We hear things, we assume we have to be freaked out about it. And so this has kind of changed how I'm approaching everything that used to put me in a state of fear, is I'm starting to ask that question, does this put me into fear mode or does this empower me? And if it puts me into fear mode, I'm walking away from it. I'm not wasting my time figuring out, is this true or false? It's just a question of, do you choose to make this part of your reality? Because one of the toughest things for us, because we have all been so conditioned, especially in the Western world, is we think we have to give our attention to things that are being said. And what the guides are saying is, you don't owe anyone your attention. And if something is putting you in fear mode, it's a sign from your higher self that this is not in alignment with your truth. So my first suggestion, if you are in fear mode, is figure out if you're in this first category. Because is this something you can just walk away from and not choose to engage with? And you're going to find that a lot of stuff you can. So I've been finding that really helpful. So it's kind of time for us as light workers to put on our big girl pants and use our free will to walk away from information that is putting us in fear, because that is really distracting a lot of light workers from holding their vibration. And that's what we're here to do. If we are in fear, we can't be helping the people we're here to help. Now, the second category, of course, is a lot of us have things going on in our life that are actually putting us in fear. And it's something that is in our face that we have to face, or that is happening to someone we love. And to me, that's a very different category. And so for me, the first thing that I'm doing when I have something in my life that I have to confront that's causing a lot of fear, or something that's causing my clients fear, for me, the first step is, as soon as you can, get into healing mode. Start doing your healing, your integration, and work with the energy. Get out of the story as much as you can, because the story is just kind of the event, whatever has gotten us churned up, and our mind will play with the story for as long as we let it. And so if you can get out of the story, what we always say in energy work is you want to get to the energetic charge. And the charge is you have fear energy that needs to be cleared. So use your healing tools, whether that is a modality you love, or working with someone like the three of us, or even just doing your shadow work is a great way to do this, to start helping you work through the fears that are actually realities in your life, as opposed to just things we're just hearing about that are causing fear. And then the final thing that I see happening a lot with some of my clients, especially those who are empaths or extremely sensitive, is they're in a lot of fear, but they can't identify what's causing the fear. Like, they don't really have something in their face that's going on in their life, and they're not really tuning into, scary news stories, but they're still feeling a lot of fear. So something else that the guides have been talking about that is going on with a lot of light workers, we are processing the fear energy of the collective. So if you find yourself in that state of being in a lot of fear that you just can't identify, you could be in that category, where you are just empathically, because we're all getting more sensitive, picking up fears around you. So if you're in that mode, if you think that might be happening to you, again, go to your healing tools. Shadow work is super helpful. Working with energy workers like any of us can bring some tools to you, help you with tools. But working through the fear energy itself and not getting distracted by those shiny stories is probably the most important thing. So that is how I am approaching fear energy and helping people with it right now. How about you, Corey? What are you seeing going on?
Wow, that's wonderful, Peyton. I'm seeing a lot of it around, and fear, false evidence appearing real. That's the first thing that came to my mind, and there's a lot of that right now. I'm actually of the category where I have a lot of clients that are in fear, so many, and the first thing that I try and do with them is to teach them grounding, how to get grounded into Mother Earth, or to go out into nature. And some of my clients, it is so extreme that it's an exercise of looking down at your pants, saying, what color are your pants? What color's your shirt? What color is, the chair that you're sitting on? To just get in their bodies. And so when we get into fear, I also like to call that future tripping. So a lot of my clients are future tripping, and which always causes a great amount of anxiety. So there's a lot of that going on, because we're in an unknown right now, and there's so much energy on the planet that a lot of my friends as well, and clients and students, the beginner students, they're feeling the energy, but they don't know what it is. So that anxiety comes up and turning into fear because they can't identify what it is. And so one of the things that, that I always recommend is, meditating. Just before we did this video, the energy is very high. And the three of us came in just like, And we did a meditation, and it can change your life. You know, a lot of shadow work as well. So the fear right now that I'm seeing in the collective and my clients is also, you know, it feels very dark, you know, just that darkness creating the fear. And how do you stay, you know, in lighthearted while trying to look at your shadows and try and clear them as well? So it starts with finding your center, you know, grounding. We have this wonderful video about grounding. You know, what is grounding all about? And so, which is helps to get into your body and to be able to look at the fear more of a observation, and to be able to clear that energy, because the fear is really energy in our body. Yes, there are those legitimate fears, but if we're all in a place where, you know, it's like, okay, do I have a roof over my head? You know, do I have food? You know, am I safe? Then the fear is an energy. And I always ask my clients and myself, is this my energy or is this somebody else's? And I loved what you said, Peyton, about, you know, the sensitives, the light workers. We all are picking up the energy of the collective. And I've had to ask even myself throughout the day in these last several weeks, more than ever before, is this my energy or is this somebody else's? And I have to take a look at that, because that fear energy will come. And of course, too, with my clients that are very fear-based right now. So staying out of fear, you know, I always say too, the opposite of fear is faith. And I love angels. I love working with the angels. And I've been calling in my angels a lot lately, you know, to make me feel safe and protected. You know, Archangel Michael, you know, asking him to put, you know, big, beautiful arms, energy, and wings, you know, around me or my clients, you know, to help keep them safe, feel safe and protected. The angels for me have always been a comfort. So if you like working with angels, that even from the beginning when I started doing this work, the angels were a big key for me as well. So, you know, and getting out into nature. Fear also is that extra energy that we're carrying. It is the energy in our body, but it can build up. And getting outside, feeling the sunlight on your face also helps a lot with staying out of fear. And, you know, getting a task to do, get busy in the sense of whether it's even, you know, cleaning the house. But fear is future tripping. It's really and not to minimize it at all, but, you know, as energy workers, we start to look at things in an observation mode and to just observe it and step back, as opposed to living in it. So these energies are strong, they're getting stronger. And so grounding, you know, we have so many videos. I always say this, almost every video, we have so many videos out on all our social medias that that you can look at to help with energy work and identifying energy in your field, grounding your energy, and that helps so much, you know, just to try to stay in your body, which is grounding, you know, grounding, getting out in nature. You know, we have a lot of Neptune energies too right now. So getting into the water, you know, cleansing, baths, that helps a lot with the fear, because fear is future tripping. And when we're not in our bodies, you know, when our, you know, just like our astral body's like, see ya, it becomes really uncomfortable in our physical body. So that's what I've got on fear. What have you got, Yaila?
Thank you, ladies. You both were just sharing so much of very similar things as far as what I feel, though. The first thing I heard was when I think of fear, I think of false evidence appearing as reality. And I also think of forget everything and run. But you can, turn that to two different sides, right? You can literally go in panic mode and be like, and just run away from all your problems. Or you can literally forget about what is stirring up in your space and keep running in the direction that you want to keep going. So thinking of fear, I like to think about, where am I focused? What is the predominant energy in my space? And I love how you called it future tripping, Corey, because when I notice there's a lot more fear in my space, I'm very anxious. And to me, when someone's anxious, we are too many steps ahead from our present moment. We're worried about too many things far out in the future, and it's making us really anxious about what might happen. And if you know anything about how you create your reality, which the current reality we are in right now is from past beliefs, past energy frequencies that we had before this moment. And so when you are wanting to get out of fear, looking at, okay, this moment right now, what do I need in this moment? And I loved, Peyton, how you were saying is, where is the fear coming from? Is it in front of your face right now, or is it something outside of your reality that you're privy to, what's going on for other people and outside things? Not to say it's, any less than, I'm thinking of what's going on in the world right now, not to say that what's going on in other parts of the world doesn't impact us, because 100% does, but what do we have control over? We have control over this right now moment. And in this right now moment, what do I need to feel safe? What do I need to feel in alignment? What do I need to feel in my love vibration? What do I need right here, right now? What can I do? And so when I start to reel myself back in, it helps me to not be so anxious. When I catch myself about, what if this happens? You can easily spiral down in the direction of the opposite thing of what you want. But if you catch it, you notice that you're starting to notice fear. It's letting you know that something's off of alignment, whether it's your thoughts, your beliefs, your vibrations, and you have a choice in this now moment. Do I want to spiral down towards something I don't want? Or do I want to start consciously choosing the future I want to create? And this is where I think we're all being confronted right now. What future are we wanting to create? What do we want for tomorrow? What do we want for next week? And what can I do in this now moment to get me closer to that on a personal level, in my family level, my community level? What is my piece in that I can be a part of? And when we start looking at what we actually have control over, we can start finding clarity, and we actually feel like we can be productive in supportive ways. When we start getting overcome by fear and outside energies and outside things, and we're too far in the future, we're going to start reacting from that place, and we're going to start putting ourselves in that energetic spiral that's tripping us up moving forward in the future. So if we are more grounded, more present, and focusing on in this right next step that I can focus on, you're going to start moving closer and closer and spiraling in the direction that you actually want to go. So we do have a conscious choice in any moment. There's no guarantee about anything in the future, but what we can guarantee is what's happening in this present moment. And so when I catch myself going too much into fear, I'm 99% of the time, if not more, I am too far out forward in the future and an anxious worry mode about what hasn't even happened yet. So this is our work, as even if you identify yourself as a light worker or not, this is the work that we are kind of being called to do. If something hasn't happened yet and we are worried about it, you're basically expecting what you don't want to have happen. You're creating what you don't want to have happen. And so if you start to focus on what you do and start asking yourself, what can you personally do to be closer into moving into that next step of what you want, you're going to start getting ideas. You're going to start getting insights. Right now in the world, for the three of us, it's like, hey, what's a video that would be helpful to talk about? We're like, staying out of fear. This is our piece in something that's going on in the world. This is something that we can do right now for ourselves and for the people that we care about, because we understand the impact of our energy, of our focus, of our physical space and time in this now moment. So that's what I would add to fear. But ladies, do you want to share anything else when it comes to fear?
Actually, one thing I'd like to say is, when you've got one foot in yesterday and one foot into tomorrow, you're not in today. There's another way to say it, but I don't think I'll say it that way. But self-care right now is really, really important. Taking care of yourself, taking that 5-10 minutes out when the world is just spinning or you start to feel that fear. Take 5-10 minutes out, whether it's taking a walk or just sitting quietly without the phone, without the computer, and any outside noise. That helps a lot with the fear, to just be in the here and the now. I've had to do a lot of self-care, lately. And I know, ladies, that we all have had to make room for that self-care because these energies are very strong and it is creating a lot of fear. And there is a lot of things going on in the world. And some of it, yes, some of it is false evidence appearing real. And so discernment, we have another video on discernment. That's amazing. So, but self-care, don't forget the self-care.
Yeah, I think that's really important, Corey. That's a great point, because another thing that can be contributing to what we're all going through right now is we're being hit with such intense energies, solar energies, things that are just bombarding not just our mind and our own, what's going on in the world, but our bodies are kind of under attack with what the Schumann is doing, what the solar energy is doing, and that can make our nervous systems kind of go into overdrive. So we can kind of have our own biology putting us into fear because our body doesn't know what to do with these energies. So the more you come back to your self-care, the grounding, being present, everything that we've talked about, you can support your physical body because your physical body doesn't necessarily know how to handle all the energies we are getting hit with right now. We have never been hit with energies this strong. And so that is another thing that is putting people into, because I noticed that the energies were so strong yesterday and it was putting me into a lot of very vague fear. Like I didn't really know what it was other than I knew it was the energies that were hitting the planet, but all my body knew is something was wrong. So it flipped my nervous system out. So that's happening to a lot of people who don't realize that just your physical body needs support right now to deal with everything that the planet is throwing at us too. So that's another little wrinkle to the fear puzzle, I think right now, is really being gentle with yourself and not beating yourself up when you don't feel bad or when you don't feel good. So self-love too, I always come back to.
Yeah. Something else that's popping in my mind too when it comes to fear, especially if it's not originating from us, right? The fear is from an outside thing. When I notice that the environment or the outside world is trying to force me to like either pick sides or pit me against someone else or something else, and one is good and one is bad and it has to be this way and anything else that's not that way is like this, and all of that like confusion. I noticed that there's almost like a frustration and powerless because there's an out of alignmentness that I feel completely out of alignment, wherein you're making me think of someone or something else as like bad or wrong versus alignment or not alignment. Like I'm choosing to go down this path and this feels good and this is what I want for myself versus being bombarded, which I think, even just the last couple of years, what is being brought to our awareness. And this is why all of us are saying false evidence appearing real, not to say there's not validity in some of it, but there's certain things that have been in our quote unquote reality for decades, that have been going on for decades, that happen. It's just you're being guided to focus on this way and it's being stirred up and the pot is being stirred and your fear is coming up. And this has been going on for decades, centuries. We're just now bringing our awareness to it. And I feel like right now, the reason why the fear feels so heightened is now we're aware of there's a little bit of manipulation in the reality around us. We're not sure what to do about that. So that's why the three of us are guiding you to be in the present moment to look at, is this originating from you or from something else? Is this what you want to spiral towards or spiral away from? These Do you need some self-care? Do you need to step away from this bombardment? What do you need in this now moment? And focus on that, because that's really going to keep giving you your power and your clarity. And those two things will help you stay away or stay out of fear more so and for longer. But yeah.
Big topic.
Right? This is a
Yeah.
big one, but I'm glad we're talking about it. Ladies, any last comments before wrap up? No. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you visiting us for our videos. Make sure to like, subscribe, and join us for each of our weekly videos that we post. We all post different videos each week, so make sure you're checking us all out. We will see you next week for another juicy topic. Talk to you then. Bye.